Balance Right, a podcast for creative entrepreneurs who challenge the status quo. I'm your host, Heather Zeitzwolf, CPA. I'm on a mission to help and inspire visionaries to grow their firms with a keen focus on their triple bottom line. Join me for conversations with purpose-driven leaders, business disruptors, CEOs, and renegades in digital media, marketing, advertising, and design. Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Get the Balance Right podcast. I am your host, Heather Zeitzwolf. On this episode, we are joined by the delightful and talented Bree McCool. She is a content strategist and an amazing photographer. She has experience working with models, product design, and lifestyle photography. Oh my goodness, you have to see her stuff. Her photography is really beautiful. She serves clients in fields such as fashion, beauty, culinary, travel, and many more. I love her aesthetic and the way she frames the photographs. If only we could just jump into those photos like in Mary Poppins. Remember when she jumped into those chalk drawings with the kids? Well, Bree McCool's pictures are like that. You want to just jump right in. Anyways, the closest we can probably get to that is following Bree on Instagram. On today's show, the topic is embracing the concept of the triple bottom line in your business. For those who aren't familiar, triple bottom line refers to the 3 Ps: planet, people, and profit. In this episode, we dive into all 3 Ps and discuss how each relates to Bree as an entrepreneur and how her clients and other companies are incorporating this philosophy into their businesses and how their offerings and methods are positively impacting the world. All right, here is my interview with Bree McCool. Welcome to Get the Balance Right. Bree McCool, thank you for being on my podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here and chat with you today.
For the people in the audience who don't know you, you're a photographer, an amazing photographer, but can you just tell a little bit about yourself and the business that you have?
Yes, you're so sweet. Thank you. So a little background on me. I am a branding, travel, and lifestyle photographer. I create artful, strategic content libraries for brands and entrepreneurs. I just celebrated 4 years in business. I've been shooting for over 15. I live in Los Angeles with my husband.
I was noticing on your LinkedIn page that you went to school for cinematography. Did you work in film at all, or did you just go straight into photography?
I did get my degree in film and cinematography with a minor in documentary filmmaking for film and TV. I always knew I wanted to be a photographer. I think that was the goal. And once I got out of school and graduated, I thought, why not get a full-time job in the industry, get my feet wet professionally, and then maybe transition into a freelance career? Because right out of college, I didn't want to take a chance. I wanted something more solid coming out of college.
Oh, I completely understand that. I went to school for fashion design and I told my parents, I am never going to work for any company that does stuff for Sears and JCPenney. And what did I do? Work for a company that did stuff for Sears and JCPenney.
You got to do what you got to do. I hear you.
Yeah, you got to start somewhere. You've gotten these amazing photography skills. I love the way that you have framed your pictures. On your website, you have a variety of pictures, like you have Joshua Tree, and you've got these really neat assortments. It's like an Instagram flavor to it. Just breathtaking. I love them.
Thanks so much. The aesthetic of my work is constantly changing. I get inspired, I think, on a daily, weekly basis. Travel really does that for me. I really enjoy challenging myself. I think that's a big part of what keeps me inspired is the curiosity. Knowing I'm learning as I do. I definitely have a certain value in my experience and my work ethic and the professionalism that I bring to each job, but I'm a lifelong learner and I just like to try a lot of different things. The travel work you're referring to, Joshua Tree, I actually was at a artist residency for a week done by Kaswa Joshua Tree, Lindsay, and I was able to really immerse myself in the desert landscape and compare a lot of different kinds of cameras and formats. So film, digital, I was doing cyanotypes and Polaroid, lifts, a lot of different really fun things.
For your still photography, are you setting up these shots or are these already decided before you come onto the scene?
I work with 75% real people, entrepreneurs, boss women such as yourself. I think the other 25% is more with models. A lot of the clients that I work with need a variety of imagery. They don't come to me just for their portrait, for their kind of lifestyle headshot. They come to me also if they have a clothing company. We photograph their product on models in a lifestyle way at a location with hair and makeup and stylists and all that stuff. We're also able to photograph the product if it's like a wrap, for instance, Noble Sands I just shot with this year. Then we also photograph it like in a e-commerce kind of gift set way. We were able to do 3 different kinds of work in one day for her. I think it's varied. I'm coming from a film background. My producer capabilities are a lot more probably fleshed out than a lot of photographers because I was a bidding producer for commercials. So I know all the different departments that need to be organized in order to make a shoot really amazing. You can't forget details, right? I think that's where the magic happens. That ability through school has really enabled me to flesh out my skill set and abilities in this role.
Do you try to have people just act naturally or do you pose them? How does that work with models? So it doesn't look like some kind of catalog.
Models I've worked with on a big range from people that are just starting out. So I'm working more with test shoots, meaning I'm trying out new models and new talent at an agency because they really need to build their book. And I have a concept in mind and I want to shoot it. We find people like that way. And then all the way up to very well-established models who've been doing it for 10, 15, 20 years. I think it depends on the person and the environment and the kind of emotion you want to get out of them. Being able to talk to someone just without a camera and say, this is what we're going for. Being able to prepare a model in terms of, this is the mood of the lighting. This is the mood of the posing. We create boards specifically for each one of those concepts. So the model's not walking into it doing some sultry vibe when we want happy-go-lucky lifestyle, the kind of stuff.
You board that out ahead of time. That's very interesting. So we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is triple bottom line. What does it mean to you, triple bottom line, and how have you used that in your own business?
I love this concept. It's something that's relatively new to me this year across all industries, fashion and beauty, travel, sustainability. Eco-conscious, zero waste. That was a world I was heavily moving into this year with all of my projects, really along the lines of travel in that industry. All of that's on pause for 2021 and beyond, but it really opened up my eyes. It was the biggest learning moment for me to know that I could participate in some of the practices or I could support businesses in their endeavors by financially, socially, and environmentally structuring my business in a sustainable fashion. It's a lot to take on when you're just looking at it from the outside as one person in our global economy. It's a lot to take on. The saying goes, we need millions, billions of people doing this imperfectly versus 100 doing it perfectly. What I want to talk about too here is just discovering your triple bottom line business to positively impact the social, environmental, and financial dimensions of performance. I'll be sharing good actionable items as well as steps any business can take on how to better their triple bottom line performance. We'll be looking at brands doing this right that are bigger that you probably know of. And then also I get to brag on my clients a little bit because they're putting in the work and they're putting in the effort to build a more sustainable future. And I think that's so cool. So I want everyone to run out and support them.
Awesome. Yes. We'll put all that information in the show notes for sure. I agree. I think everybody, even solopreneurs, can make a difference. It's just every person doing their part to help save the planet, help to make justice in the world and all of that.
I just want to note this, that there is the acknowledgement that ethical practices are not made available to us equally, and that in the time of COVID especially, many are struggling to stay afloat, period. So I just want to preface this with saying I don't live a perfect life in this by any stretch of the word, and I just want it to be a gateway for people to start thinking about it. I really look up to one person I know will have the show notes. Rachel Parker Chavez has a business called Defining Good, and she helps business leaders assess their social and environmental impact and implement strategies. It's all with business in mind, and her motto is use business to make the world better. I have to give a shout out to her. But first up, socially, we're not talking about social media here. If you're talking in like corporate terms, you're breaking it down into philanthropy, volunteerism, environment conservation, diversity in labor practices. Specifically, this relates to me in that I get to really choose the kind of brands I get to work with. And I've been able to have conversation in regards to their social good stance, their process, and what they do to contribute to them. It's important to me that brands I collaborate with have a social impact plan. And usually this kind of information flows freely because we really dig deep on their brand and get down to the specifics of why they do what they do. And this really reveals what's important to them as people and in their business. Some tangible ways to think about this in terms of brands in the world. I don't know if you've heard of Girlfriend. They're famous for their leggings. They produce sustainable, ethically made activewear, and all their textiles are made for recycled materials in their facility in Taiwan that specializes in eco-friendly and high-quality textiles, guaranteeing that they pay fair wages, safe and healthy conditions, and zero forced or child labor, which is huge. Another company, Lush Cosmetics, so they do vegan cosmetics for the face, hair, and body. They have a really cool thing called a charitable pot. They believe that it's their responsibility to advocate for the environment, animals, and people in need, as well as giving back to organizations locally and around the world. I love those two brands. Have you heard of either of those before?
I have not heard of the leggings company, and I'm a huge leggings wearer.
A Girlfriend's great.
This is Heather Zeitzwolf. If you are an entrepreneur who is serious about wanting to make a positive impact on the planet, then I have a program for you. It's called the People Planet Profit Roadmap. It's a 3-month intensive program for entrepreneurs who want to be more focused on their triple bottom line. The program will guide you to make your business more sustainable and will develop an action plan to empower you as a conscious leader. If you are interested in this program, go down to the show notes and you'll find a link to set up a discovery call with me, Heather. All right, now back to the show.
Bigger brands, I think, are doing this well. Some clients of mine that I feel are incorporating this in their everyday. Kate Grayson, she's a founder of Beyond Money Community and Money Coach. She envisions a world where people actually live and spend according to their values. I think is super cool. I think there's a discrepancy between the way people live and the kind of world they want to live in. She's trying to bring those two worlds together. Secondly, Kitchen United Mix. They're the nation's first multi-restaurant ordering to go experience. And I've been able to capture some of their events back when we could do events. They inspire kids at youth organizations such as Boys and Girls Club. They really empower people who need a second chance with culinary skills and job opportunities. Then finally, my friends at Lalo Pets, they craft dog beds worth dreaming over. The really beautiful fabric patterned beds. They have fit, function, and fashion in mind. Each of their beds are hand finished by their team of makers in Brooklyn Navy Yard, supporting American manufacturing and keeping an artful craft vocation relevant. I love those brands. Check them out if you can and show them your support. I think the number one way that you can try and do this in your own business is just researching local organizations that have hubs or headquarters in your city. Many times we're focused on big changes when there's so many people, businesses, and organizations in need in our backyard. I was able to volunteer with an organization called The Giving Spirit for quite a few years. And the best thing you can do is offer up skill sets of your own, either volunteer your time or do some sort of donation in order to support these organizations. And I would just set aside a number of work hours every year to donate to the causes. That's how socially the triple bottom line works. You just want to be aware of what's going on in your community and be a perpetuator of helping it.
That volunteering opportunity that you had, they help the homeless in Los Angeles.
Yeah, Giving Spirit gives emergent assistant aid to the homeless community in LA over 2 big events per year, one in May and one in December. Their kits are, I think they were up to 6,500 kits a year. The winter kit has 75 items, including a blanket, and the summer kit was around 60, I think, items. And everything was donated, people's time. The amount of units donated is really magnificent. There's something like over 70,000 people sleeping on the streets on a nightly basis here. It's a real problem, and anything we can do to help someone prepare for a job interview or a housing interview, or give them a little bit of pride in how they present themselves on a daily basis, I think that's really important.
It's very important. That sounds like a really great cause. I love hearing about that. Wow. As far as your clients go, that sounds like they're doing some really exciting things. I like those examples. From your perspective as someone who helps brands, what do you think of this whole idea of being more purpose-driven? From your point of view, as far as marketing, some companies obviously are doing it because they do care. And then sometimes other companies are using this as like a marketing ploy. They're known as greenwashing because they're pretending that they're doing all these great things when really they're not. Do you think that people can utilize this as a marketing tool?
Yeah, I think it's all about where it's rooted, where it's coming from, especially nowadays with the social injustice climate. Performative actions can be sniffed out real quick. More than ever, people are holding their officials and their business owners accountable for what they said they were going to do or what they say is a priority for them. There are countless reports coming out. If you look at it from a financial point of view or a business growth point of view, the reports are saying, yes, businesses that are rooted in sustainability and have social impact programs will do better long term because of the amount they're putting back into their communities in organizations that help locally or nationwide. From a marketing standpoint, again, as long as it's rooted in authenticity and you really care, it's a wonderful marketing tool to broaden your horizons with your audience. For me, it's allowed me to connect with businesses that share the same value and share the same priorities, which is huge. I think we are all in this together. And as much as you can band with people that have the same core value, you're unstoppable. I think it's a great marketing tool, but not to be confused with something that's fast and performative. It's an ongoing project. It's definitely not something that you turn a button and now people think you're amazing because of what you're doing. It's definitely like a slow burn kind of a process.
The word on the street is that millennials like purpose-driven businesses. I hate to put everyone in the same category, but by and large, it seems like young people really are voting with their dollars, which is wonderful.
Growing up, it wasn't a part of my day-to-day for sure. I don't know if just getting older and understanding more about literally the dollars that I spend, I want to do the most with value-wise and impactfulness. Those dollars are important to me. When you're 18, you start getting big paychecks for your new job or whatever it is. I started to be like, oh, it's my money that I'm spending and I'm putting forth into the world. How is this $5 affecting Target versus how is this $5 affecting the small business down the road? I don't know if it's a generational thing. I have no idea. I refuse to think that boomers don't care about this. I think everyone does on some level for sure. I think it is a movement though. And even kids younger than me, is that Gen Z? All of the TikTok kids, I feel like there's a movement happening and they are not afraid. It's going back to the accountability, I think. They're not afraid to call it out. During the course of my lifetime, like my 20s, we did have a lot of really bad things come out with big banks and big organizations and certain companies taking advantage of their workers and labor laws. And now I'm paying attention to the fact that all of the tags in my closet say made in China. What does that mean for people there, for people here? I don't know if it's an age thing or a group thing or just a curiosity thing that engaged this part of my world. It takes a lot of effort if you really dig into it. But again, I just want to really preface it with saying that doing this imperfectly is better than doing nothing.
I'm from the Gen X generation. I think if we had the internet at the time when I was young, I think we would have been the generation to start all this. But obviously, baby boomers, they were protesting and all of that as well. But I think the internet has probably fed into a lot because this information, knowing all these things, seeing horrific things in other countries and being able to read people's blogs from another country and understand what's going on there. The internet, although it has some negative things about it, is really quite wonderful in opening people's eyes.
The empathy factor has grown many heart sizes over the last decade, 2, 3, 4 decades with the internet and social media. There are downsides to it. I think it's showing us that all of this kind of bad stuff's always been happening. We just haven't been seeing it. It's a rude awakening, but it's a valuable lesson to think about and learn.
Hey there, this is Heather. I hope you're enjoying the podcast. And if you are, if you wouldn't mind, please hit the subscribe button now. That way you'll never miss an episode. All right, now back to the podcast.
For the environmental portion of this, there are many ways to become eco-conscious and strive to live a zero waste or sustainable lifestyle. I think the most important part of this is to be inclusive and talk about success in this category, again, as 1 million people doing it imperfectly versus 100 people doing it perfectly. And I understand too that this is not ability that everyone has. The ways to do this is maybe participating in a Meatless Monday to provide a meal that doesn't require any animal products, or using a reusable straw, buying locally, composting. I got my first taste of composting when I was in Portland. Our Airbnb had a little trash can composter. That was my first time doing it. It was really cool. I think it cut down on our trash waste like by a lot. I was amazed. I just think it's important to keep the people and businesses we love accountable, especially in terms of environmental. If they say they're going to donate or they say they're going to start making a recyclable material, then you need to ask them 10 months later, are you guys doing that thing yet?
Yeah, certainly.
How this relates to what I do is in my business is I prep and run a cleaner onset experience. And where this directly relates is specifically is no plastic water bottles. We don't provide a flat of water bottles on set anymore. We just don't. I ask everyone to bring their reusable water bottles, and I make sure that there's a filtered water system on set, on site. One of the companies I wanted to highlight, a company called Humankind, they do personal care products. Their products are a bridge to a zero waste future. They're also revolutionizing recycling systems in coastal communities around the globe. They're not only helping the environment with just not giving you plastic, but they're also cleaning it and providing incentives, paying local workers to help keep the planet clean. Another one that's big for me is travel, flights. We talk about carbon offsets and that kind of stuff, but Emirates Airlines doesn't believe on passing the responsibility of minimizing emissions to the customers, but rather they do it themselves. In order to reduce their carbon footprint and negative impact that flying a plane has on the environment, the Emirates has spent billions of dollars in low emission aircrafts that are efficient. And additionally, the program is backed by other on-ground projects such as recycling and waste minimization processes, water efficiency projects, and investment in conservation-based tourism developments in Australia and Dubai deserts. You can purchase carbon offset. You can do that if you like whenever you fly or travel. But I love that Emirates is doing it for you. That's big businesses. And then similarly, a few businesses that I've been lucky to work with who value this. Founder of Noble Sands, Julie Habelman, promotes wardrobe longevity and less waste, creating garments in limited quantities from custom recycled fabric, locally and mindfully made just here in Southern California. We're talking about cutting down on transportation costs. Another couple is also fashion, founder of Zanny, Suzanne Brosnan. She creates wearable elevated fabrics for the modern active woman by combining timeless silhouettes with technical fabrics. All of her pieces are made with longevity in mind. She doesn't design for seasonal or even annual changes in fads or trends. She's just creating these sustainable pieces that keep you through. And she shows you how to wear them through seasons. She's from the East Coast, I want to say Massachusetts. She knows how to convert a dress to a warmer situation very cutely. And then Sophie Uliano, she's a New York Times bestselling author of the groundbreaking book, Gorgeously Green. And I got to work with her creating some brand imagery for her new website. She really put eco-conscious and healthy living on the landscape at a time when no one was really thinking about it. This was like pre-social media. And since she's become one of the first green beauty experts and created an online community of wellness warriors who come together to make healthier lifestyle changes and inspire others to do the same. Those are a few companies that I think are doing it well.
The thing about fashion is fashion, like you said, it goes in and out of fashion. That's just how it works. And we now live in this world of fast fashion where things are just, they fall apart right away. It's done on purpose so that they just get destroyed and then you have to buy new pieces. It's wonderful to hear that these women are doing this with fashion. That's very cool.
Fewer better things. I think that's Quiana. I didn't even put them on this list. I should have. That's their motto. And I love that. They're like heirloom pieces. They're things that you take care of. And even the pieces that, again, like you have in your wardrobe that are fast fashion, wear them until you no longer literally can. Donating everything to Goodwill and going to buy, if you can financially, all sustainable pieces is not really the way to go. Use what you have until you can't any longer, I think is the goal here.
Yeah, I usually wear my clothes until I've got lots of holes in them.
That's a look too, Heather. I think that's great.
I know I have a hard time throwing things away. So I'll have socks that have holes in it. And I'm like, but I can do something with it. I could turn it into fingerless gloves or something.
Yeah, I love it. Hey, you could do puppets for, I don't know, nieces, nephews, grandkids, whatever you got. I think that's awesome. The biggest thing here is just starting with the basics, right? What concerns you about our future? You said you're vegan or vegetarian?
I'm vegan.
Vegan. And is it for any specific reason?
It started off as a dietary decision. I was trying to lose weight. And then after being vegan, probably just a couple of weeks, like after the meat products got out of my system, I had a total mind shift. I started seeing animal cruelty in a new lens than I had before. Like I had known about factory farming and all of that and looked at the pictures. And I had done some of my own boycotting and all of that before. But now after getting the meat out of my system, I had this whole awakening. And ever since then, there's no way that I'll eat meat again. It just really impacted my life. I also had a cat. And so then I started seeing animals in a different way than I had before. And then it's turned into an environmental thing as well. It has all kinds of different greatnesses to being vegan. But I understand if people don't want to choose that lifestyle. I'm not dissing them at all. I'm just hoping that eventually, maybe if you taste my cooking, you'll want to come to my side.
Yes. Cooking is where you get people like me. So I love that. I know it moved into an environmental situation for you, but first it was just body health. And I think that's really cool. So I think people, if they just write down the concerns that they have in terms of our future, in terms of the environment, helps. So is it food and water waste or insecurity? Is it plastic pollution, climate crisis, biodiversity loss, air pollution? There's a lot, unfortunately, that you can choose from. You can use good old Google and find a few beginner lifestyle steps to help you bridge the gap between closing a blind eye, not seeing it, to engaging with it a little bit so that you can start making those changes. Highly recommend doing that.
Every little bit counts for sure.
Yeah. The last one is considering the financial leg of a triple bottom line business. The first two are about community and building and collaborating and that kind of thing. Financially, businesses that are not profitable are hobbies that you pay for. You must be priced to profit to thrive and continue building your business. I'm not personally interested in building an empire, but I am interested in sustaining a lifestyle that enables me to prioritize things that are important to me. If you run your business, you have the right to do this as well. Whatever that means for you, I can't tell you what your priorities are. That's something that you have to figure out. But more than just getting paid your worth, this is also about your ability to bring your friends' businesses to work as well and have a support network. How this relates to what I do, understanding the impact of my dollar has been a game changer for me, and the value I place on my time and energy, as well as the role my community plays in the wealth of an area. If I'm paid my value and I'm running a socially, environmentally, and financially sustainable business, I can contribute to the financial wealth of my community by buying and supporting them, keeping the money in the community and making it better. Distributed funds are what make the world better, not necessarily more money. Money used poorly can have an adverse effect on the wealth of a community. On positive things, a couple of businesses I see practicing these methods. There's a networking group called Liberty for Her, and founder Netta Jones wants to spread the idea that women helping women should not be exclusive to circumstances, age, or industry. We need to connect with a spectrum of women, those who have the wisdom and experience to share, as well as the fresh voices that invigorate old models, narratives, and stereotypes. She is among a lot of different people that I know and I'm lucky to have in my work circles that really pushes for inclusivity and calling everyone to the table. There's so much worth in that. The second company I want to highlight is real estate investor, Goddesses founder, Monique Halm. She started her business for the professional woman who wants to create passive income streams through real estate investing so she can create real wealth, live the lifestyle she deserves, and make the massive difference on the planet, redefining generational wealth by literally investing hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars. She breaks it down so that you can start so small and you can reap the benefits. It's amazing. Both those companies I highly recommend checking out. And then something a little bit more close to home, the few clients that I have had that I feel are really encapsulating this. The first is founder of BRA Network, Carrie Murray. BRA stands for Business Relationship Alliance. She stands for being in the business of helping women get more business, therefore changing the landscape of the current global economy and our place in it. She's all about the women, getting the money, having the money, spending the money, building the money, and her network of people. That's where I go whenever I need something. Like, oh, does my bra network have anybody who does this? Another kind of community building is Caffeinated Cork founder Grace Jones. She hosts high energy gatherings and is a master of creating space for honest conversation. This collective space aims to meet women at the intersection of race, culture, and identity. I have never had anything close to the honest and frank conversations I've been able to have with her and our group of people discussing really intense, what I believe to be intense topics. She just asked the question and it's an honest zone. She creates amazing spaces that people can learn from and grow from and ask the questions that we all want to ask without being microscoped in on. And Salima Saunders of Uplifter's Kitchen, she was a client of mine for a previous endeavor she was doing. But for Uplifter's Kitchen, as she continues to serve high quality produce and ingredients that are good for you, good for the environment, and incorporate more seasonal fare, they're also committing to increasing access to healthy food and nutrition education by donating $1 to Feast for every chocolate pecan cookie they sell. Her little shop is in Santa Monica. She's a brick and mortar. All of these companies are doing amazing things in uplifting and supporting, especially women and people of color who want to gain wealth, distribute wealth, and support others around them. Love them all.
Yeah, and anything that includes a treat is also a great thing.
Yes, chocolate.
Those sound like amazing women. That's so exciting. I did not know about any of them. So thank you for sharing. Let's just circle back to you for a second, though. On your website, I noticed that you had shared a link with me. And sometimes it's just the little gestures that people do on their website that are really meaningful. And I noticed that you had a support anti-racism. It was a little button, and it says raising awareness, driving donations, and sharing information in support of justice and equality. And when I clicked on it, it opened up all these different links. And it looked like it was from Linktree, which I did not know anything about Linktree. So it's a service that you're using Linktree to help you with social justice in your business. Can you explain that?
Yeah, so I have to shout out to Linktree for that because they give you the option of turning that on as a banner that pops up whenever someone goes to your Linktree from your Instagram account. And I've looked into kind of what they're supporting and what is important to them, what their priorities are, and I'm fully behind it. So I did add that to the Linktree just to pop up in case anyone was curious. I'm currently doing website redesign for my main website, and I know currently I don't have anything that speaks to this on my site, and I think that's not great. Obviously, it will be different in this next site. It's important to me to have what is a priority for me front and center my business. I think when I'm talking with potential clients, it's something that I make pretty clear about what I stand for. And no, if it doesn't work out because our priorities are different or our goals are different, then that is fine. But that's something I definitely like to figure out beforehand. I appreciate you saying something about that. I think it's a nice little thing to add.
Yeah, certainly. And I didn't know anything about Linktree. So can you explain what that is exactly?
Yeah, it's a membership, I guess, you subscribe to, and you're able to create a little custom pop-up for your profile on Instagram that you're able to link to multiple links instead of just one, because Instagram usually gives you one link and that's it. And we all know you can't do links and captions or anything like that. This enables me to create a home base for my links that include like signing up for my newsletter, going to my website, finding out how to be an ally and contribute to anti-racism in your community. I think there's also a button on there to plan a 20-minute free creative consult with me. Those are always free to just figure out basically how to use your content, make it go as far as you can. And then if you need new content, figuring out if I can support you or if my services work for you in any way.
Cool. That was my next question was, how do people work with you and what is the best way for them to get a hold of you? Are you mostly on Instagram or LinkedIn or all the places?
Email's the best, just Bree@BreeMcCool.com. If you have any questions, thoughts, I'm here. My website, BreeMcCool.com, has all that information. And second to that, Instagram, at Bree McCool Photo is my handle there. And those are the best ways to get in touch with me.
With COVID going on, are you able to travel to locations or are you trying to work more locally now? How does that work?
Great question. I know that all the cities and counties are at different levels, and I know it's hard to navigate those. I've been shooting since June in a very safe way. I've now been on 2 different flights. I'm happy to say that my COVID protocol has produced 0 COVID cases. I contract trace 2 weeks after each shoot, and we've had 0 outbreaks. And I've worked with and employed hundreds of people in that time frame. So I feel really good about practices and my team here locally and the ability to vet teams outside of California and beyond so that we can operate safely. You won't find me shooting without a mask. That is a huge priority to me and to the team to just stay safe, not only for my own health, but I really like having a record saying that none of my sets have resulted in a COVID outbreak since June. That feels really good.
Yeah, that's fabulous, especially because you have so many people involved. Wow. That's amazing. Bree, thank you so much for being on my podcast today. This has been great.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. I just want to remind everyone that the triple bottom line business is an ongoing effort rather than a quick solution. And just do what you can when you can.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hey, this is Heather. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. If you found value in the show, I'd really appreciate it if you gave me a rating on iTunes, or just simply tell a friend about it. And if you're interested in learning more about my profit advising and coaching, please set up a discovery call by using the link in the show notes. All right, thanks so much and see you next time.